Hey everybody, Nancy here from American Pet Professionals. Happy Tuesday, and you know what time it is. It's our next episode of Digging Into the Pet Industry, and we are airing from LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So wherever you're tuning in from, thank you so much for watching. And I am super excited for our next guest, Kerry Cooke of TailChasers LLC. Let's bring Kerry up. Hey Kerry.
Hey Nancy, good to
How
see you.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm finding it very hard to believe we're in the beginning of June already.
I know it's flying by, right? It's flying by. Well, I'm so excited for you to be here and talk about your company, TailChasers LLC, and your journey to get where you are today. I think you have a really cool story. So, here on Digging Into the Pet Industry, we jump right in. So, let's dig in. I would love to know more about your family owned pet products company, TailChasers LLC. So, start wherever you'd like.
Yeah, so I had this great idea for a product, and I'll go into more of why later on that. But I had came up with this idea, and I was talking it over with my daughter, and we just decided now is the time. There's, you have these good ideas once in a lifetime, and I'm going to capitalize on it. So I did some initial research and decided to just jump right in. We formed the company in March of 2019, and here we are talking to you today.
Wow. Yes, I love that you said that because I'm not to plug a book, but I read this book a few years ago and I think I've told you guys about it, The Big Idea, right? And it's
Mhm.
exactly that concept is that you have a really great idea and you may not execute it or go for it at the time and then a few years later somebody else has that great idea, you know? So I love that you guys had the idea and went for it. So Tail Chasers is the mothership company, right, of your overarching pet product company. And you have a brand new product that's been out for a couple of years now, right?
Mhm.
Well, really like a year and a half, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
about a year and a half. Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about the product and I'll let you debut its name on our show.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I was out walking with my dog Lola, who's a big black lab Weimaraner mix. We live in Southern California. It's usually nice and warm out here. And I kept finding myself a few blocks away from home without the water. I kept forgetting it. And I just felt like if there was a way to incorporate it into the leash somehow, I wouldn't keep forgetting it, and I'd always have water on hand for her. And I remember being out one day, I had one of those water bottles that you squeeze and the water fills up in the cup at the top,
Yeah.
and so I did that, and I sort of, like, tossed it on her, cool her off, as it was a pretty warm day, and we're standing there in the shade, and I just sort of started like, wow, this would be really interesting if this was a squirt gun. And so I came home and I started Googling because I figured there's a product that does this, right? Like
Yeah.
it exists, I'm sure,
There's
somewhere.
gotta be. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I was, 20, 30 pages deep on Amazon and on Google and hadn't found anything yet. And I just like, well, that can't be right, and I started thinking about it and got a squirt gun, duct taped it to the end of my leash,
That is
and
so
I
funny.
started using it for so many different things. And that's when I'm like, wait a minute, this really is a great idea. If I can incorporate the drinking cup capabilities, the spraying for cleaning and cleaning up messes, um, and for protecting when you have off-leash situations, if you're at a dog park, you need to break up a fight, that water really can help you. And having it right on the end of your leash would really work. So SPLEASH was born. It's the spray leash handle. is the name that I came up with. Just spray and leash, so SPLEASH together, and that's where this guy finally came into existence. It's important to tell people SPLEASH doesn't come with a leash.
Yeah.
It becomes the end of your existing rope, leather, or nylon leash. So I want to, highlight that because instantly people see the product and they
Yep.
think it's a retractable leash.
Right.
So
Yeah, we'll have you demo the product in a few minutes, but I have to tell you, when I first met you and I heard about Spleesh, I think I might even have said this to you. I was like, I love that product so much because I hate to carry anything when I'm walking my dog, because I think it's super important to have both of your hands available when you're walking your dog, right?
yeah.
And to be able to use the spleesh, right? If you are using it as a deterrent for a goose or an off-leash dog or anything that's coming at you, right? With a little water gun. I love that you duct taped the water gun to the leash and came up with that idea. Necessity is the mother of invention. It never fails, right?
Yeah, and I think I had that duct taped squirt gun on there for maybe a month or so, um, until we, got to a point where we could get a prototype going
Yeah.
and start testing it out. It was just super handy. You don't think about all the uses that uh, you need it for until you're out there and you're walking more than one dog, which I do quite often. I have 3 rescues, and so the 2 little guys we walk together, and the big one goes by herself. But
Yeah.
when you're watching one in one area, the other one's going potty on the neighbor's lawn. No, don't do that. So you can spray it down and at
Yeah.
least reduce the amount it burns the grass.
Yeah, and there's so many uses to this bleach. I feel like I've had mine now, full disclosure, for a year, and I feel like there's days that I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even think I could use it for this too." It's
Mhm.
really kind of crazy. And the number one thing I get is when I'm walking with it, people see it and then they're like, if they see my dog panting like on a hot day when we're out walk, "Oh, your dog needs water." I'm like, "I have water in here." And they're like, "What?" They're
Yeah.
always shocked by that, and then I show them and then they're like, "That is so cool." And then I tell them a mother-daughter team invented it, and like they get just really excited about it. So tell me a little bit why it's important to you that you and your daughter developed this together.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, it's a much longer story, but
Yeah.
also it's the most fun for
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
because, I mean, everybody, I mean, would love to, I think, have the kind of working relationship that I have, with my daughter, and we have so much fun. She's the creative director and made our logos and does our copy on social media, and she's just so creative, and so you know ideating Spleesh with her and talking about all of the various uses, and that was a lot of fun. But we haven't had the easiest go of things. We had some stuff that happened 10 or 12 years ago now that was upsetting, and it was hard to deal with. And one of the things that we did together was walk the dogs. And at that time she was much younger, and so we would tell stories that the adventures of our dogs. At the time we had 2 big dogs and 1 little one, so the adventures of Big Little Big. um, would go out and they would encounter problems, and then we would talk through how they could work through those problems together. And so that was sort of like almost like a therapy for us to
Yeah.
be able to talk and connect in that way while we're out walking the dogs. And that was just where we tended to chat and really deep dive into some more difficult discussions. We also had this opportunity to unfortunately see firsthand how amazing therapy dogs are. And we utilized one with my daughter who had to testify in court.
Hmm.
And, just the whole process was nerve wracking. And she had this amazing yellow lab that came and sat with her in the hallways of the court, which helped distract her and keep her calm and not as nervous.
Yeah.
she was more focused on caring for this beautiful, yellow lab that was sitting with her. And we feel it's really important. We wanted to make sure that both with the Adventures of Big Little Big, if we're thinking about writing the story in the future about those adventures and how you can overcome different obstacles in your life.
Do
And
it.
yeah, we want to use those adventures to, to help tell lessons, but also with the formation of the company, we wanted to make sure we were able to do something, really that would make some of the people who didn't come out of the whole situation as lucky as we did, would honor their memory and, sort of give back. And so we are committed to funding therapy and dog teams that will, hopefully sit with other people in court who need it. And we're really excited so far this year. Through good timing of matching donations, we've been able to fund 4 therapy dog teams with
Wow.
pet partners. And so we try and promote pet partners whenever we can and make sure, if we're successful, we're going to try and make sure we can fund more therapy dog teams.
That's wonderful. Congratulations and thank you for doing that because it is so important, especially the world we're living in now, right? To have those therapy dogs in various aspects of life. I think it's so important. And the fact that it helped your daughter when she was going through that is really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how things would have turned out differently, but the love of dogs is something that, both my daughter and I are just a little bit nutty over dogs. There's 5 of them over in our house right now, watching some of the neighbors' dogs.
That's
And
funny.
yeah,
You're in good company here on digging into the pet industry. We're very dog obsessed as well. All pets, but dogs too.
yeah.
So let's talk about what the functionality of the Spleesh does. If you want to show a demo of how it works, I would really love that because I think once people actually see what it does, they're more like, "Oh, I need that," or "I want that," or "I would have never thought of that."
Yeah, so as I mentioned, you attach it to any standard size rope, leather, or nylon leash. You push the 2 buttons on the side, and what's called the cam pops out, and it's grooved. The groove inside gets smaller as it spins around. So a rope leash will also work perfectly well in here. You pinch the 2 little metal posts on the side to pop it in. You'll hear that click, and if
Yeah.
you hear the clicks, it's on. And so this becomes the handle of your leash. The whole thing you fill up with water, and this is the water plug. You just pop it out and fill, filtered water if you use filtered water for your pets. Put that in. It holds 12 ounces of water, so it's not insignificant amount.
Yeah.
And it's important to say that this is incredibly light when it's empty.
Yeah.
We were trying to make something that was really strong and sturdy and could, potentially bounce behind a dog
Right.
if you dropped it for some reason,
Yeah.
and it would survive the crash. So you fill the whole thing up with water, and then this is the squirt nozzle here. So it has a 14-foot spray radius, so at least 14 feet of space. It can provide you defensible space. If you have a dog that's coming up at you, you're walking in the neighborhood and somebody, oh, my dog's friendly. Oh, mine's not. So if you
Right.
want
Right.
separate, you can spray the oncoming dog who doesn't get hurt. They just
Right.
get a little wet, but they get startled, and it
Yeah.
gives you enough time to sort of change direction. And
Yeah.
then you can also spray it to clean your hands off. You can spray paws clean.
Yep.
And you flip open this cup right here and tilt it down. You just want to sort of hold it at this angle and spray, and a couple of good squirts for the dog to get a quick sip. And what I found, you can also pull the plug,
Yep.
open the lid, and tip, and then this won't overflow. It will fill up just like a water cooler bottle. It won't overflow,
Yep.
and they can get a really good drink of water. You want to discard whatever's left, and then off you go on your walk. So you don't have to, hold your leash.
Yeah.
hold a bowl, hold a bottle, all of those
Yep.
kinds of things. And this is also kind of handy if you don't have giant, man hands
Mitts.
or something. You can also put it on your wrist while you're tying up a bag or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and it's also really great to cool you down on a hot day. You can
Or to
spray
get the sand off
it
your
on the back
hands.
of
Like
your neck.
I
Yeah.
had sand and, stuff on my hands from the beach the other day, and I used it for that. And I do use the tab. I pop the tab to let it flow out and pop it right back in just to give it a faster amount of water.
Yeah.
I think it's also really great, for if your dog likes to eat stuff. Like my dog loves to chew on stuff like a horse as I'm walking in the woods. So I don't even have to squirt I just squirt it towards him. I don't squirt
Yeah.
him, right?
Yeah.
I don't even have to do it anymore. I just say, Cody, I'm gonna, and he's
It's
he
like,
sees my
oh,
hand, he stops. It's so funny. So I think it's really great. And the goose story, of course, because the geese in the springtime they can get protective of their nests. And I had one that was charging at me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to use a spleesh," and it worked. I just squirted him twice, and he was like, "What?" And that was that. And we
yeah.
walked past, so it was really interesting. So tell me some of the funny stories about the Spleesh's durability, because I think it's hilarious some of the things that you've done to this to test its durability that I don't think anybody else would have thought of.
Yeah. Try and have more fun with um, testing Spleesh out. And there was one big TikTok influencer that Canine Arlo actually. Um, we sent one to them, and I was thinking, oh, police dogs, they lunge a lot. You have to have a good handle on them. The handle on Spleesh is really strong, and I
Yeah.
wanted to just convince anybody who was worried, because you are adding this to your leash. You want to make sure it will be get really good hold of the leash, better than you can do with just your hand. And wanted to show how strong it was. And he was worried that there's so many different safety ratings and things that dog handlers have to be thinking of.
Yeah.
um, he wanted a little more proof that it would do the trick. So we decided, well, let's pull a truck with it. Why not? It's strong. I mean, I feel like when I walk Lola, and as I mentioned, she happens
Yeah.
to be very dog friendly, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of experience in trying to hold on to a large animal that can pull really hard.
Yeah.
And so we decided to make a little bit of a fun TikTok, pull the truck with it, and then as the camera zooms out, it's actually just a little chihuahua on the end of the leash. So we thought that was funny, but it did pull at F-150.
Wow. And who pulled it?
My nephew.
Oh.
Yeah,
I was gonna
strong
say
guy.
those chihuahuas are strong, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, of course, with TikTok, there's always
Yeah,
somebody trying to poo-poo what you're
of
doing.
course. Well,
Oh,
with
it's
social, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's in drive, or somebody's pushing the truck. No, it really was just him pulling it on
It's
some level
crazy.
ground.
Yeah.
We have other angles of the camera showing it. We also wanted to, as I mentioned, not have people need to keep, replacing Spleesh, because if they dropped it once, like
Yeah.
I dropped, I said I had that squirt gun on my leash for a month. Well, it wasn't the same squirt gun. It was a squirt gun. I went
Multiple
through
ones. Yeah.
6 of them, cheap guys, off Amazon. But they, if you drop them, they crack, and that was it. You leak the water, and it would be over. Which was really great market research, right? We needed to make sure that when you dropped Spleesh, it wasn't going to be the end of Spleesh. It wouldn't go very far if it wasn't very durable. So
Yeah.
we actually ran it over with a truck too. And then picked it up, and it still squirts and held water. And we
You
were,
showed us that once on a Zoom, and it was like barely had a scratch on it. I was
yeah,
like, "What is that made out of?" So,
yeah,
what is it made out of?
yeah. It is just made out of food grade, FDA approved polypropylene. And it's the structure that, the
Yeah.
engineers that I'm working with are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about them, and they did such an amazing job in making sure structurally that it would be something that you could use for a really long time.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
will say, Kerry, that I don't hold the handle of this leash. I think I've told you this
Yeah.
before. I just clip it into the leash and I hold the end of my dog's leash. So it hangs from the leash.
Right.
And my dog is a 71-pound pit bull. So pull if he wants to pull, he pulls. I mean, he's pretty good. So, and it has never popped off. It has never fallen off. It has never like slid down. It stays in the exact same spot I put it on. So that part of the engineering to me, like you said, they are phenomenal. I was
Mhm.
kind of blown away by that. I thought it was going to slide off. I thought all these things and nothing has ever happened to it. I've dropped it a couple of times. I think I dropped it in the sand once and I was like, "Oh no, this is going to be clogged with sand." Was totally fine. So to me, the fact that you did all that due diligence to have this product so well made is really impressive. And that brings me to my next question. What were the struggles? You launched Spleesh in what actual, like, when did you have the first, like, products in your hand?
Yeah, I'm trying to even remember the timeline now. It's all sort of
So the
like
pandemic was blurry, right? Yeah.
blurred together, but I know we were hoping to launch really early in 2020,
Okay.
and 2020 turned out how 2020 turned out,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we didn't get product until like Christmas Eve.
Oh gosh.
So it was a huge delay from what we were hoping to have
Yeah.
happen. And then we got in some units and started selling them, and more supply chain issues happened, and things were sort of put on hold while we worked on an issue related to the spleesh. We got that all nailed down and back up and running, and really been cranking since March, when we actually ended up on the Today Show. Like, not us, but the Spleesh.
Right. But wait, so
So
let me backtrack. So you launched in 2021, correct? Like the product was like launching in that year, in the last year?
yeah, well, the end of 2020,
Okay,
like
the end of
te-
2020.
technically, yeah, the end of 2020.
So, what
But
would you say some of the struggles? Obviously, delays are a struggle, but struggle launching a new product into an industry that you're not really in, right? You're
yeah,
in it
that's
now. You're in it now, but
oh, I'm in it now, but I'm still learning every day. I
yeah,
mean, I think that's one of the things that I like so much. I thrive on learning new industries, new
yeah,
technologies, that type of thing. And you're right, my career up until this point, I've focused on really genetic testing and worked in the healthcare space
yeah.
the last 24 years. So I had this, harebrained idea. Well, I'm gonna start my own company and make a pet product. Okay, that'll be easy. Yeah, no, it's not. There's so much to this.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from filing the patent and the trademarks, and which we're finally patented now.
Yay,
So
congratulations. That's awesome.
that's an exciting milestone. And really just navigating all of the various things. I think one of the biggest challenges for not just us has been, the increase in price for shipping anything.
Yeah,
Everybody's cogs are getting slammed by all of these unexpected rise in prices.
yeah.
I'm hoping things settle down a bit. But yeah, definitely I would recommend, if somebody is going to start a company, try and time it so you don't hit right in the middle of a global pandemic and the beginning of like World War III. So it's probably not the
Ye
best time to
Yeah.
go into
Or the best time to start a business, even with
right,
the struggles, right?
right.
They always say that if you're in a recession, that is kind of the best time, right? All the things to start a business, and it sounds counterintuitive and crazy, but look at the success that you've already had in a year and a plus, right? You've recently got a lot of press that you were saying before, and you were on the Spleesh was on the Today Show, and I see you've gotten awards and magazines. So you guys are cranking along, I think.
Yeah, we're a mighty little team here, trying to just work all the angles. I mean, that's like I said, I like to learn. I want to, study up and learn from all of these different communities. People and organizations like yours,
Yeah.
Nancy, are tremendously helpful for entrepreneurs who are trying to get the word out. You have to network. You have to
Yeah.
ask questions. I mean, I know one of the first questions I think I asked you when I first met you, and I'm like, should I go to Global Pet Expo this year? Should I do this and that?
Yeah.
And it just is, you know, navigating yourself through that space, but
Yeah.
also making connections with other people who are in a similar situation with
Yep.
you, networking with other pet professionals and other company owners. I was just on a call the other day with the founder of Paw Pale, and what a great invention
Yep.
that is,
Yep.
for like the diaper pail of
Yeah.
dogs. um, it's such a great way to be able to share best practices. What
Yeah.
company are you using for marketing? What PR agency?
Yeah.
Um, there is a sense of community in the pet industry that I
Yeah.
really, really value and appreciate.
Yeah, I will say that is one thing that we have over a lot of other industries. I've worked in PR and television. Not to say there's not community there, but I feel like everybody that I know that's new, that comes into the pet industry, that gets to know everybody in the pet industry, they're like, everybody wants to help each other. It's unbelievable. Like, I've met so many great people. I'm like, I know it's a lot of fun because ultimately it's about our pets, right? Like, that's what I always say at American Pet Professionals. We all want to work together, but ultimately it trickles down to the pet parent and the pet and pets in need, and like that's what we want to do better for. So I always love meeting new pet professionals, and your story and everything that you do with Spleesh and at Tail Chasers is really inspirational to me.
Oh,
Because it's not easy to launch a new product, and you just kept hammering away at each thing. As I've known you for the last year and a half, you're like, I'm just going to keep going for it. And then we might have a lot of questions pop up. But I also love that you said that because I think a lot of people are afraid to ask questions,
mhm.
and they just try. I just don't want to ask that. I don't want to look, not smart enough in that area. And I'm like, no question is a dumb question. If you don't know, you don't know. You're learning. So I think it's so important that you said that about learning as well.
Yeah, definitely. Always
So, yeah,
learning.
so your speech was on the Today Show, which is pretty amazing and exciting. I
Yes.
love the segment that they did. It was pretty hilarious. I thought they were all going to start squirting each other with it.
I know, I did too, and I thought it was funny, like, they obviously had it set up with water already in the bowl, and Jenna came along and just sort of picked it up and
Yeah.
sloshing around. I think it fell on Hoda's shoes. I'm like, oopsie. But it was such a great segment, and, we sold out of our cyan color, that day. I mean, it
Yeah.
was like, it
Yeah.
was so exciting 'cause
Yeah.
if you have the sound on your phone and you have Shopify, like,
And
every
it's
time you make
binging.
a sale, it goes cha-ching, and so it was just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching over and over again. I was like, "Yes."
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. That is really exciting.
Yeah,
So, what is your goal with Tail Chasers overall? I know you have the one product. So, do you plan on having more products come into the product line?
yeah, we do. We just need, sort of the world to stay stable for a little bit of time, get everything going really well with Spleesh, and then we have some follow-up things for Spleesh itself. I have two more ideas in the pet space for products and one in the art category. So my daughter's an artist and want to, bring some of our innovation to what she loves to do personally as well. So yeah, I think Tail Chasers can be the overarching house for different innovative ideas.
That's awesome. Now that you have Spleesh done and you're like, okay, now we know the map, the pathway to go with the new products. And that's exciting, right? You've
Yeah,
gone over all these hurdles to get the product out there and all the things, and now you know what to do for the next couple of products coming out. I can't
exactly.
wait to see what you bring up because if you've done such an amazing job with Spleesh, I can't wait to see what's next.
Oh, thanks, Nancy. I know. I can't wait to get it out and start testing out all the new stuff.
Did you have pet parents help you with the development of Spleesh by like testing it and asking them questions? Did you have like a more focus group?
Yeah, we did with several, trusted people that had pets that
Yeah.
I would go to and ask questions, and then we did have a group of, my dog trainer, one of the dog trainers that I used, had group lessons, and I arranged to go out and talk with a whole, class full after training sessions, and had the opportunity to ask questions and, "Hey, hold this," "How's it feel in your hand? Is it
Yeah.
too heavy, too big, too small?" And actually, one of after that one class, we learned the original mold of our product, was for somebody with a smaller hand, because we all had, smaller hands that were
Yeah.
developing
Yeah.
and didn't realize that somebody with, that's 6'5" and, 250 pounds
Might have
has
a
a
bigger
bigger hand
hand.
than
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their pinky, when the guys would hold it, it wouldn't fit in here. It was sort of down here.
Oh,
We
interesting.
readjusted the whole grip size
Wow.
based on that feedback. But yeah, it's super important to get collaborative with people and make sure that you get the feedback from people who are actually going to use it. And some of the ideas you can incorporate into the product, and some of them it's just like, no, that's not going to work. And
Yeah.
maybe next time. Um,
Yeah, very cool. I love that you did that. And it's important to do that, like you said, because like you said, some ideas you're like, yep, that's great. And then some like, well, no, we're okay with that area
yeah,
because everybody's gonna have an idea about it. So what has been your favorite thing about working in the pet industry so far?
the people. The
Awesome.
people and the fact that it's dogs, and, I think that they're just so full of kindness and caring. I mean, the people who really do care about their pets just tend to be just kinder, more gentler people, um, and they're open to sharing, and I think that's what I really enjoy. I like learning things and sharing what I've learned with other people. If I can help somebody along their journey, I try and do that, and that's really what motivates me.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely do that because sometimes I'm like, where did you hear about that? That's so cool. Like some of the stuff that you bring to our networking. So what advice would you give to somebody that's thinking about launching a pet product?
Just do your research. Keep like when you thought you researched everything, keep researching.
Yeah.
There's ask, and as you and I just covered, ask questions. Don't worry about if you feel like it's a silly question. Just go ahead and ask it. You have motivation for why you need to know the answer. And if the person does think, oh, that was a silly question, well, who cares? And move on to the next person and ask them, and they'll get it. They'll
Yeah.
understand, why it is you are asking, and what you need to know. But yeah, just go for it. That's
Awesome.
really the
Yeah.
best advice. Just don't let it pass you by. I had an idea back when my daughter was a year and a half. I wish I would have run with that one when I had it. And so that's why when this one came up, I'm like, oh, I'm not letting this one go by.
Right, right. That's such good advice. Yeah, I love the research and ask questions. And I don't think when people ask questions, the other person is thinking that's a silly question. In my experience, I don't feel like that. I feel like people know if you're new in the industry or if you're new to what you're doing and you ask that question.
Yeah.
I think that it's so important. And I don't think anybody should be intimidated by asking a question to somebody. That's why you're there, right? If you're trying
Yeah.
to find out something new. So, what is the best piece of advice that you have received?
Um, Patent it.
Yes.
Really, that was, like,
Yeah.
the first thing after I had the idea. So, I don't know, the first 10 people I shared my thoughts with, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's a really good idea. You should get a patent."
Yes. Yeah.
And
Somebody just emailed
yeah,
me through LinkedIn like a week and a half ago and was like, I'll tell you my idea. And I said, my first piece of advice would be not to tell me your idea and, look into getting it patented or patent pending or what you can do. And she followed the advice. And I was like, you don't have to tell me what it is. Like, it's fine, like, don't stop telling other people what your idea is. Cause even though you want feedback, I'm like, somebody's going to be like, oh, that's a good idea and take that. So,
yeah.
very, very
Yeah, and
important.
if you do share your idea with anybody, make sure you have an NDA in place,
Mhm.
because if you share it non-confidentially with anybody, it
Yeah.
can nullify your whole process. So just
Yep.
be very wise
Yes.
about it. You're so excited that you have
Right.
this idea, you wanna broadcast it, but don't.
Yep.
Just Yeah.
Yeah, I've had the opposite. I want to see things created and brought into the marketplace, and I'll say it out loud and can say, "Somebody please invent this," so I can just buy it and not actually have to go through the process. But it is really funny. But yes, patented and non-disclosure agreement is what she was saying with NDA is so, so important. So thank you for that. And what is your? I'm going to ask you a couple of fun questions. What is your daily non-negotiable habit that helps keep you grounded?
Walking the dogs.
Yep,
I
me
mean,
too.
you have to do it every day.
Yeah,
Um, Even the days when you really don't feel like, feel like it, it's so good for them, it's so good for you.
yeah,
It's a time for me to just sort of slow my mind down
mhm,
and get some exercise and have, like, some peace while I'm out there. If there are not too many other dogs out,
yeah,
we carefully plan our walks and try and avoid other dogs, but, it is yeah, it
yeah,
is one thing I look forward to, sort of resetting.
yeah,
You get frustrated, go for a walk, come back to it. I used to go running to do that, and I can't run anymore, so walking the dogs is the next best thing.
absolutely, I'm right there with you. So is there anything that I didn't ask you about tail chasers or spleesh that you wanna add?
Oh gosh, other than highlighting again that it's not a retractable leash, and it doesn't have a leash, it goes with your leash. We're going to, be coming out with some really fun, augmentative features for it. So, check back with us soon. We did win the Best Dog Travel Product by Pet Business
Yes, congrats on that.
2021. So, really, you know, getting the vote of confidence that the product is good is fantastic. And we did just set up a new website that's really cool. Would love people to check it out and give us any feedback about it.
And what is that website?
It's spleash.com,
Awesome.
spleash.com.
And we will put that in the comment section. And I will ask you one last thing. What is the funniest thing that somebody has said that you should have in the spleesh for yourself?
Oh, everybody wants to put alcohol in the
Yep.
spleesh.
I've had so many people say that you should
Yeah,
put wine in there. I'm like, but it's for the dog, not for the for me. It's
yeah.
not a flask. It's really funny. I've had that said to me a couple of times. It's really
Well,
quite hilarious.
yeah, we're headed to Barks and Brew on the 18th of June, in San Diego, so I'm sure there'll be some comments similar to that being made at
Yeah.
that event. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe you can make one up as a keepsake for that
Yeah, we were
event.
talking about making a little one that would be
Yeah.
like a shot glass for
Oh,
people.
that's hilarious. You should do it. You should do it. Well, Carrie, it's been a pleasure having you here today. I love talking about the spleech and everything that you guys are doing. So thank you so much for being here. If anybody's watching the replay and you have questions, please check out Carrie's information in the comment section and feel free to post a comment as well. So, Carrie, have a great rest of your day. Next week is our next show, Tuesday, June 14th, right here at 2 p.m. back here on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Harry, thanks so much for being here.
And thank you, Nancy. Thank you for everything you do for pet professionals everywhere. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for saying that. It's a lot of fun and hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Bye, everybody.